Alison Burns.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. First of all, I want to say thank you for saying yes to being interviewed. The students that are going to be watching this video are Christian ministry students, and so they're coming from all walks of life, but they're all interested in ministry. And so we're going to have a conversation about what does it mean to do ministry. But before we start, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Right, so tell me about your mug. Tell me about the mug. What makes your mug or your water jug so special?
Sure. So I don't drink coffee, so that's why I broke the rules and didn't bring a mug. I brought a water bottle. But the reason that this is special to me, one, it's just for health. I like to drink a lot of water to keep myself healthy, keep myself going. I also really like the straw. I just think that's really cool. And then some of the stickers and stuff that I put on my water bottle are important to me. So I have a Be Kind sticker, and that's just a motto that I like, especially with working with kids, just all the time, just trying to live that out. I have a Mama Bear sticker. I'm a new mom, so that's important to me. And then I have a sticker that says, you can, you should, and when you're brave enough, you will. And that's just a reminder that I like to have around me, just with the work that I do. So.
Fantastic. So I did an interview with Alicia Herr. She doesn't drink coffee neither, so she's not a coffee drinker. She doesn't drink that much tea. She had a water bottle. That was her thing, a water jug. And what made her water jug so special that the bottom unscrewed so you can clean the bottom.
Yeah.
She was talking about what could grow in there.
Yeah.
I have a water bottle too, but very rarely do I wash it. Whenever the leak was out, I pour more liquid in. I wouldn't want to look in the bottom of that at all. So again, hey, thank you. So I want to have a conversation about the organization that you work for.
Yep.
And I could say it, but I would prefer for you to kind of share a little bit about Banyan and why it's special to you.
Sure. So I work for an organization called Banyan Community. We're a community development organization based in the Phillips neighborhood in Minneapolis. We're a neighborhood-based organization. And Banyan overall our mission and vision is to help youth, families, and community within the neighborhood in the Phillips neighborhood. And we take a holistic approach to developing youth, strengthening families, and developing community. So it's special to me because we can talk about it more as we go, but I didn't anticipate ever working at a place like Banyan. That was not my path. That's not what my plan was. So that the way that I came to Banyan and the work that I've been able to do to Banyan has really been a God thing. It's definitely where I ended up where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be. And it's the work that we're doing there is so near and dear to my heart. And it helps me feel fulfilled and driven with what we do every day.
Fantastic. So let's get into ministry, right? Because we're looking at Christian ministry students here. Most people, when they're starting out, say, oh, I'm going to work for a church, or I'm going to work for this organization that talks about Christ openly and fully, because to do ministry means that. And that's not always the case. Right. Ministry comes in multiple forms, in multiple ways. Can you kind of share with our students and myself your understanding of ministry and how your ministry gets played out at Banyan?
Right. My understanding of ministry is really just loving people. Whatever that may be. That could take many different forms, but just loving the people in the community around me. That's the basis of how I operate in my ministry. And that is definitely what we do at Banyan. So we serve our youth in a variety of different ways, mostly through after-school programs and things like that. And we support kids all the way from kindergarten through college. And then we support our families as well too, really with anything that they need, whether that be helping understand their students' academics, helping them attend an IEP meeting, helping them with rent aid, helping them with FAFSA and financial aid. It's really just anything that our families need, we're there to help support. And then we're also there to develop the community around us. So we help support Block Club leaders and building connections and building relationships. So even though Banyan doesn't come out and say, we are a Christian organization or we are followers of Christ, to me, everything that we do is showing love and building community and building relationship with others. And to me, that's what ministry is to help support people and help bring them around and build authentic connections.
So I've got this smile that's growing on my face. I'm trying to keep this smile in because I'm trying to hold it in. But again, Banyan is a Christocentric organization.
Correct.
Organized to serve the community,
yes.
right? And so you can be salt and light without saying, excuse me, I'm going to be salt and light to you.
Right.
Correct? And so
right.
Those are fantastic things. Can you tell me a little bit about the demographics of the clientele that you are, the clients that you're working with there?
Sure, yeah. So as I mentioned, we're based in the Phillips neighborhood. It's a diverse neighborhood in southern Minneapolis. We have a variety of different students and families that attend our program and come to our organization. Majority of our families are either Latino or of African background. And then we do have some Black or African American families as well. And then we, in the past, have had some Native families. We don't have any right now, but that's another demographic that we have served in the past.
Gotcha. And your current, this is a two-part question. Your current position is?
I'm the elementary program manager.
Okay, so you have what I would call power and authority, right? You're a boss or a manager.
Yes, correct.
Gotcha. So the follow-up question is, as a European American female, how do you do cross-cultural work with people that you said are African, Latino, Latinx, and African American? What types of skills do you need to do so, and when did you pick those up?
Sure. I think I've learned a lot about that working at Banyan. My degree is in education, so in my education I learned part of that, but it's one of those things that you don't understand all of it until you're in it. And I think one of the phrases that I kind of go back to a lot in working cross-culturally is step up and step back, and that's something that I've learned way back in, I think, professional development, but basically finding ways and finding the space to step up and speak where it feels like it's needed, where I can help be an advocate, and then step back. So finding ways to also step back and listen and also create a platform for others to speak when their voice is more important than mine.
Fantastic. So what I hear you saying is that understanding the proper timing of the context. This is something where I need to step into and speak boldly to. This is where I need to set a platform for others, right?
Correct.
So, fantastic. So with all that, let me ask you this. What has been the most fulfilling, what's been the most fulfilling about being at Banyan? So what's the thing that really gives you a great deal of passion being there at Banyan?
Sure. I think the main thing is the holistic approach that we get to take with our kids and our families. So as I mentioned before, I have a background in education, and I was a classroom teacher for a number of years, and I loved that. I loved helping develop kids and helping them grow and learn both grow in both their academics as well as their personality and who they're going to be. But I started to feel more of a pull and more of a drive towards the social and emotional learning and the developing the whole student. And that is one of the biggest things that I get to do at Banyan that really drives me and really fills me up, is being able to be a school but not a school, help support the kids in their academics, but also take the time and take the space to really be with the kids and help them develop in whatever way they need to develop. In a traditional school setting, if a student is having a hard day or, isn't understanding something, or is just, something happened out at recess and they want to process it, we maybe have 5 minutes to try and help them through that. And it's like, okay, well, now we have to do math. So you have to get over that feeling so we can go do math time now. But at Banyan, we have the space to just sit down with the student and talk about their day, process what they're feeling, try and problem solve with them. And I think that's so important, and that's something that doesn't always get attention, and obviously that's something that sometimes is missing from a traditional school setting. So that is something that is a huge drive for me, and that is really at the basis of what I want to do and who I feel like I am in the world. And then also just expanding that to all of our families and community. We have the space, we have the time to be that resource and be that support for families and communities. That's why we're there. So it's not like we are here to serve in this way and we have a little bit of extra time to help support in anything else. It's like, no, we are the anything else. We are here to support our families in any way that they need us. And I think that's really powerful, and I think that's very much needed. And that's the main reason why I love the work that I do.
That sounds cool, but also outlandishly draining. So my question is, what do you do on a personal level to fill your own cup up? Because it sounds like working there, you're constantly pouring into other individuals, and as we know, you need to have your own cup full. So what are some of the things that you do, which I think will be highly important to our students to recognize? Because ministry, like your words were, it's about loving someone else, which means serving someone, which means giving up, which means at some point you need to go and rest and fill your own cup up. What things do you do to fill your cup up?
Yeah, I think one part of serving others does fill my cup up a little bit, just because that's part of who I am and where I get a lot of drive from. And if you're going to be in this work, that it has to be a part of who you are. But also outside of that, I think just finding space to do something that serves all parts of you. So, mentally, spiritually, physically. So physically, I enjoy working out. I've become a runner over the past few years, so that's something that I try and make a priority and make the time for. Mentally, engaging in something that is will expand me and help me learn, but isn't necessarily work related. So if that's some type of hobby, if that's just doing a craft, or something to engage mentally, but that's not work related. And then obviously spiritually, so attending church, or doing my own devotionals or Bible time or anything like that. Those are kind of some of the things that I give priority towards to fill my own cup.
That's good. So when your cup is full, right, and so as we're pouring into other individuals and then filling our cup, you spoke a little bit about the opportunities or the things that you really have a great deal of passion about. So what are some of the obstacles, or what are some of the challenges to the work that you do at Banyan? What is it? What would a challenging day look like?
Sure. I think kind of like you started to mention when I explained all the things that we do, one of the challenges can also be the things that we do well. If we are a lot of things to a lot of people, that can get to be a lot, and that can run people thin, and that can create burnout and things like that. So really being intentional about how we are utilizing staff time and staff resources, because that can be a challenge if we are continuously just running, and continuing to run on empty. That can be a challenge. Also, just anytime you are working with people, there can always be obstacles and things that prevent relationships and conflict and people not seeing eye to eye and wanting to do things differently. And then since we do work with a diverse population of students, trying to figure out how we can be a truly multicultural space. How can we be a space that is welcoming to all? Because if we say that we are a multicultural space, how can we make sure that any person from any culture or any background feels welcome when they come into our space?
Fantastic. So I have two other questions for you, and then I'll let you end. You'll have your final words, Allie's final words. But my first question is, in light of like what you're doing at Banyan and all the good work that you're doing, where do you see, or maybe there's multiple places, where do you see students being able to explore their own spiritual nature, right? Their own, because you're talking about being holistic. Mm-hmm. Are there opportunities for students to say, hey, I've got some questions on spirituality, or is there room for that there at Banyan?
Absolutely. I think we specifically set aside time. It looks different, but we specifically set aside time in all the different grade levels to do what we call social and emotional learning. So basically that just how do we be people type learning. So a lot of those spaces are, and those times are opportunities for students to do that, to explore who they are, who other people are, how do I relate to them, how do I relate to the world around me, how do I be a positive, kind person in this world. So there's opportunities like that. There are some programs that we run that are specifically Christian focused. They're separate programs that students can or cannot participate in. So there's opportunities in that to kind of explore their faith. And then, I guess those are the only two reasons.
Gotcha. So Banyan does have kind of a crystal, not a crystal center, but a gospel-like piece that you can volunteer to. Right. Just like the gospel. You can have it or you don't have to have it.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So the other part of the question is, where do you see yourself as it relates to Banyan down the road? Can you see yourself expanding it, moving into leadership positions? Or because I know you, students don't know you, so you're doing a great deal of phenomenal work there. Do you see yourself kind of expanding there, or going to another Christocentric nonprofit, or you're going to be there for a while?
That's a great question that I don't totally know the answer to.
Okay.
As I mentioned before, I sort of happened into the position that I am, so since then my plan's been thrown off and I haven't made a new plan. I definitely feel comfortable continuing to work within Banyan for the foreseeable future. I enjoy the work that we do, and we're also I think Banyan as an organization is in a really exciting time to grow and develop. The organization started in a home in the Phillips neighborhood 22 years ago now, and then has slowly grown and expanded. So we're getting to the point of kind of the next big thing and the next big stage. So it's exciting to be a part of that, and it's exciting to see how we're going to grow and how we're going to develop, and how can we, successfully transition this grassroots organization into something that's larger, that's something that could serve outside of our specific neighborhood or serve in a different neighborhood within the Twin Cities, or how can we serve more families, or how can we serve our current families deeper? How can we do more and be more to the community around us? How can we partner with people around us to really even extend our holistic approach to outside of what we are personally capable of in our organization. So I think we have a lot of exciting things coming down the pike, and I look forward to being a part of that. I don't think I would specifically take on the next step in leadership just because it would be outside of what I would personally like to do, but the great thing about my position is that there's a lot of room to expand and grow where I am. I wouldn't need to be promoted to the next level to do that. There's opportunity to grow and become more in the position that I am, so I look forward to that as well.
Fantastic. I was going to give you an opportunity to go for it, but I'm going to hold off on that because I got one more other question for you.
Okay.
So, Bethel campus is located here in Minnesota, but Christian ministry students may be from Minnesota or across the world. So we had an incident that took place here, right, as it relates to George Floyd, and that impacted all of South Minneapolis, North Minneapolis. I mean, it impacted the Twin Cities in a major way. And I'm wondering, in each organization that took place in the area, and again, we're talking about the 38th in Chicago is where he was murdered. That impact kind of rippled throughout the Twin Cities. How did that impact Banyan? And then what did the folks at Banyan do to add soothing ointments, balm, to individuals that were actually hurting as it relates to the issue of, again, racial inequality and someone not receiving justice?
Correct, yeah. When it actually took place, when George Floyd was murdered, we had to close our building because we were close enough to where some of the unrest was happening, so we could not physically be in our building. Then that week, what we did was kind of just dropped everything that we were doing and just focused on families. And we basically broke up our whole family list with all of our staff, and we just spent the week calling our families and just having conversations, checking in, seeing how they were doing, providing resources if they needed them, talking about what we could do to help support them. So that was kind of our initial, bandage on the wound, was just dropping everything and just focusing on our families. And then through everything that has followed, Banyan has done a lot of different things, both for our families, for our youth, and for our staff. I would say for staff, definitely taking the time in the space to learn more, become more educated in cross-cultural work. Also focusing more on what I mentioned before of making sure that there are platforms and there are spaces for other voices to be heard, making sure that all staff, no matter if they are, within the leadership team or are, a part-time 30-hour-a-week employee, every voice is being heard, and making sure that we have space and time to hear all those voices. And then within our families, I think just continuing to be a consistent piece in our families' lives. Just always being there to help support with whatever our families need. That's another big thing of what Banyan done, is just being that kind of consistent piece. Since we work with our kids and our families from kindergarten all the way through college, schools, they have a different teacher each year. They move from school to school. Banyan is always consistent. They are always coming to Banyan, and they even kind of circle back. So, I work with my elementary youth, but then we have college and high school staff help with those youth, and then I end up managing them. So they just circle through, and we're always a consistent piece for them. So I think being that consistent piece for our families in the community, I think, has been really important. And then with our youth, just providing space and time for the kids to process that. Obviously, it's difficult. It has been difficult for adults to process everything that's happened, and for kids it can be even more confusing, especially if they're getting multiple messages from multiple things or multiple sources. So just kind of taking the kids' lead on how to address, or how and when to address that, and then providing the space and providing the sports support for the kids to process that and talk about their feelings, talk about what they think, talk about what they believe, talk about how they think things can change. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's good. So here we are at the very end. Alison, what closing words do you have for us?
Ooh, that's a lot of pressure. I would say thinking about everything that we talked about and thinking about the work that I've gone through in my ministry, the things that I have learned and that I pull out is, one, you can make a plan, but that plan doesn't always work out. And be responsive and be open to where you could go, because it could be, I never thought I would be anywhere except for teaching in the classroom, and it took a lot of time and maybe getting hit on the head a little bit to realize maybe like a longer conversation with you at one point about it, to realize that I can do other things. So stepping outside your comfort zone, trusting that where you are supposed to go is where you will be led. And yeah, really just going to the base of what ministry is to serve and to love other people. That can look so different and can happen in so many ways. But I truly believe that that's the best way that we can reach people is, I don't know who you are, I don't know where you come from, but I'm here and I want to love you, and that can look different, but that's what I want to do. I want to love you and I want to serve you. How can I do that?
Fantastic. Alison Burns.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
No problem.